Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of the people who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out to Tom Herkins, Tina Baker, theflatearthchannel.com, Texas Mike, Skeptic936, Sam Hain, Renee, Reinhardt, Qatar Craig, Paige Love, Michael, Matt, Life is Short, Kirsten Smith, Jeronism, Godrockin, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Edwin Johnson, David Wayne Foster, Dank, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Billy Highvolt, Alistair Main, and Adrian Quintana. Massive thank you to all of you who do support me on Patreon. We are joined currently by 10th Man in G+. How you doing, 10th Man?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How's it over there in England?
Yeah, it's all right. A little bit cloudy, a little bit rainy, quite sunny at times, if that's what you mean. We're not spinning, yes. Earth's still flat, if that's what you mean.
No, just the weather, because I've been there, and it's. I caught it on a good day, a good time when I was there. It was sunny, but it gets cloudy a lot.
Sure. I mean, we do have nice summers. And we're also joined by Dougie and I can't quite read his name. Mouton. Very good to have you, my friend.
Mouston.
Yeah. Hi, Mouston.
Good to have you.
Hi.
We're not live yet, so there's no desperate panic to to answer any questions or anything.
So, yesterday's show on Discord, it was so chaotic because they want to rumpus while you're talking, and just for anyone who doesn't know, just go back. Was it 9:49 was yesterday's show?
Yeah, 9:49 Uncut and After Show towards the end was where it got best. I thought
it was classic. They're just losing it because they can't defend Coriolis anymore. And it's amazing to watch them melt away.
Yeah, they're going absolutely bonkers. They're losing their shit over this. And it's very amusing because until now, Coriolis has been a frustration for me. Because you can always get lost in the doublespeak they assert upon the road of Coriolis and how it doesn't apply to Earth. And on that road, most people get lost. The conversation becomes convoluted. The conclusions aren't cemented in the mind of the person watching. And that's annoying. That's all I want. The conclusion to be the thing that's remembered. Now we're at the point where they make their assertion to defend why it isn't deviating, and we point out it should deviate. Earth is claimed to have a Coriolis effect. So that's the end of the argument now. It's got a nice punctuation mark at the end of it that destroys them at every turn. Excellent.
Yeah, it's a reversal of roles.
I'd like to make a comment on that. Maybe later on when it goes live.
No, feel free. This is still being recorded, so you still get heard by an audience.
Well, I mean, what do you prefer? I don't know.
I don't mind either way. If you want to wait till there's a live audience, it's entirely up to you.
Yeah,
you can do it again.
When?
20 minutes.
Sorry?
20 minutes we go live.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so for anyone listening, if you go to the end of the Uncut and After show, you could hear their strategy. And the strategy is while Nathan's talking, they're just causing chaos on Discord. So what Nathan's saying can't be clear. And you just see that's the only thing they have left now, it seems like.
Right, that's their only tactic. make sure the devastating rebuttal isn't heard, make sure that the concise question that undoes their argument isn't responded to because it's talked through and isn't concisely met by the opponent. Then they just talk non-stop through you. But often in this current situation with Coriolis, we still hear the doublespeak they assert. Oh, well, you remain on the non-inertial reference frame. And you're like, yeah, to see a deviation of it rotating underneath. Yeah, that's right. And then later on in the conversation, well, the observation of the deviations from the inertial reference frame. No, it isn't. You're leaving the non-inertial reference frame as a projectile and staying as the observer. But they'll double speak around it because it can get confusing to those of you who are watching. Not for us anymore. We know the main crux of the point. The main crux is there should be deviation of a hovering helicopter. It shouldn't hover. It shouldn't stay above the ground it took off from. Earth's supposed to rotate underneath it. And when they come here to argue about that, they'll argue about why there isn't deviation and justify why there isn't deviation. For example, conservation of angular momentum or Earth and atmosphere travelling as one. Both are arguments for there being no deviation, and there must be deviation if Earth is claimed to be spinning. Coriolis deviation is claimed to be a spinning ball Earth proof. The deviation that we don't see. And all they do is argue about why we don't see it, rather than recognising that there must be that deviation. They're arguing for why it isn't there. Well, if there's no deviation caused by the spinning Earth underneath that projectile, then the Earth isn't spinning.
A cursory search on Google, which is what I've done, and I'll put it all together and just post it up one day, on non-inertial reference frames and inertial reference frames. And whenever you type that in and start looking, it always takes you to Coriolis. Or if you type in Coriolis effect or Coriolis causes, it ends up taking you to non-inertial reference frames and inertial reference frames. So it's all over the internet. Citations are coming from their own high priests. And when I said role reversal, now they have to argue against the very thing that's in plenty of written documents, because it's an apparent deviation. And when we hold our feet to the fire and there's no actual deviation, oh my gosh. It's so funny because that Express article I posted on Master B a week or so ago, that they were actually saying that horses in horse racing experience Coriolis, swimmers swimming experience Coriolis, cricket players experience Coriolis. And here we got Zanuck saying that, oh, no, it's no longer that. It's a conservation of angular momentum. Like, when did that ever enter the conversation?
Like, argue about conservation of angular momentum all you like. There's claimed to be a Coriolis effect on Earth because it's spinning. And you're telling us all about how it's not showing that effect. It's not spinning. That's what they're arguing for. These insane, senile old bastards like George Netanyahu telling you about how you have Earth and atmosphere travelling as one. It's like, get with the programme, Fundy. You're supposed to be arguing for a demonstrable Coriolis effect proving it's spinning, not arguing for it not demonstrating it. They should understand what they're supposed to be fighting for. The Fundies should be fighting for a seeing Coriolis effect. That's what's claimed to be there. Claimed to be there because Earth's spinning. And all they do is justify why it isn't. It isn't there. There isn't a deviation, apparent or actual, because Earth's not spinning. And they can't get around it. Oh, well, you're conserving angular momentum. What, no deviation then? No proof that's claimed to be there of Coriolis effect then? Oh, well, that's a big problem, as you're supposed to be arguing for it being there.
Yeah. And then Paul got him good when he was saying, yeah, it's north-south, south-north. You see it deflects eastward or whatever. And then Paul says, well, what about altitude if you go up? And he finally got the question. And the answer, Paul, he says, yeah, the higher you go up, straight up over the same spot, it's going to go faster. So you got to increase your speed. And that's when you saw it. And that's when you asked him, well, how fast at that point is the Earth spinning? And then he went back to saying it's not spinning.
Yeah. So he's got me asking him how fast it spins under a hovering helicopter. And his answer is it isn't. So it's not generating the necessary Coriolis effect that's claimed to prove Earth spins. Oh, it's not deviating, Zanuck, not spinning under a hovering helicopter. 20 minutes later, Paul's like, if you go higher, Shouldn't it spin faster underneath? Oh, Zanuck. Yeah, it's a Zanuck. Yeah. You go higher, and you've got to go quicker because of the increased circumference. So you've got to go quicker because Earth's rotating quicker underneath you. Oh, right, Zanuck. How fast is Earth spinning underneath a hovering helicopter at altitude? Oh, conservation of angular momentum. It's not spinning underneath it. It's like, so it's not spinning underneath it then. Not going faster at altitude. Not spinning underneath. You're supposed to be proving it is spinning. And here you are arguing about how it isn't. Isn't that interesting? George is doing it. Rumpus is doing it. They're all arguing about how we don't see this deviation. No, you don't see a deviation under a helicopter. It can hover. Well, you should. You're claiming Earth's spinning, right? That's supposed to be the proof it's spinning. So why are you arguing against it, fundies who think you're on a globe that's spinning? Argue it for it spinning, not for it not spinning. That's our argument.
Sorry, can I make a point on that?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah. So, my idea was just to exactly regarding this is when they say, well, we observe no deviation of the hovering helicopter or whatever it is, okay? So perhaps the way we could put it is say, but wait, so you say you observe no deviation, so but you say, of course, this is the lockstep mechanism, so atmosphere and Earth traveling as one and everything in it traveling as one. But then maybe the question to put would be, well, but then what would be the difference in observation between the Earth and atmosphere traveling as one hypothesis and the flat Earth hypothesis? Please indicate specifically what would be the difference in observation between those two hypotheses.
Well, it doesn't matter because the claim is that there is a deviation. So them justifying how it compares without deviation to a flat Earth is irrelevant when they're supposed to be fighting for there being deviation. So, they start fighting. They start fighting for Earth and atmosphere travelling as one.
That's when they've conceded there's
the claim.
No deviation.
But you don't need to give a false dichotomy with a flat Earth. We're not making any positive claims in that regard, other than how gas exists in the first instance, as we found out yesterday from the guy who lied through his back teeth about things I'd said. Now, other than claiming how gas is in need of the necessary antecedent of a container, there is absolutely no claim from our side in this regard. The claim is all theirs. Earth is claimed to be proved to be spinning because you see a deviation in Coriolis effect. That's the claim. Their claim. The fundies' claim. The claim that they're arguing against when they say it's travelling as one. At which point you don't need to get them to prove that they're violating their own rhetoric. At that point you've won. Hold on. At that point you've won. So they say it's not deviating. That was what you pointed out. And then you go on to ask them about how it's No, don't ask them how it's comparable to a flat Earth. Say, so it's not deviating. It's supposed to be, though. That's supposed to be the proof it's spinning. So not deviating, not spinning. That's where you've won. The point they assert that there isn't any deviation, that there absolutely must be, that's the thing claiming to prove it spins. They say no deviation. Cheer. Say no deviation. Oh, right, there's supposed to be, though, isn't there? There's supposed to be an Earth-based Coriolis effect because it spins. It's supposed to be the proof we spin. So you say no deviation, then no spinning. At that point, you've won. But they deviate off the fact that you've won by confusing you and starting to argue about something that's totally in violation of Coriolis effect. Starting to get you to describe conservation of angular momentum and argue about that. Argue about whether or not atmosphere and Earth are travelling as one, when that's in violation of the thing they're trying to prove. They're trying to prove it deviates. And what are they saying? It doesn't deviate because? I don't care about your cause. Your because is my win. Oh, it doesn't deviate. That's what we're proving. Yeah, it doesn't deviate. It doesn't demonstrate that it's spinning underneath. That's what you claim. That's what you need. There's supposed to be deviation. Fundy who says there isn't. Thank you for proving our point. Not, how does it compare to a flat Earth? We've won when they say there isn't the deviation that must be there to have Coriolis effect and prove it's spinning. Earth, that is.
Okay. No, I was thinking maybe they could, maybe that could make them acknowledge that it's the same thing in their scenario as on a flat Earth.
Who cares? We're not making any positive claims. I don't need to suddenly enter into a situation where I have to defend something I don't claim about what a flat Earth does. They claim it's proving spin. So it doesn't relate to a flat and motionless Earth in the slightest. It's their positive claim, and I don't have to defend anything in my regard to my worldview in their positive claim. They have to defend that it proves Earth spinning, and the way it proves spinning is by a hovering helicopter deviating away from you. And when they say it doesn't deviate, who cares what their reasoning is? It's supposed to prove Earth spins. So upon saying no deviation because, shut them up immediately. I don't care what your excuse for it not spinning is. It's supposed to spin. That's what you're supposed to be proving. It's spinning underneath this item, proving it spins. Oh, it doesn't spin under the item because blah, 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 blah. I've just done the globe Earth rhetoric that it spins and proven by Coriolis deviation that I'm now going to justify why it isn't there. That's where you win.
But who says it's supposed to spin? Is that because it's what's his name?
They do. The heliocentric model would dictate that you would have Coriolis effect. It's the rhetoric. They claim Earth has Coriolis effect. Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets about how it affects a football. There's supposed to be Coriolis effect. It can't not be there if it is spinning. If we're spinning, we will see deviation, but we don't. And because we don't, they argue about why we don't, ignoring the fact that there should be deviation. It should drift away from you, appear to curve, because it's spinning underneath. And all they do is justify why it doesn't. The fact that it doesn't is our win. It's not showing Coriolis. Don't worry about how they argue about why it doesn't show it. It's supposed to show it on a spinning Earth to prove it spins. The fact that it doesn't show it, regardless of how they argue about why it doesn't, proves it's not spinning.
Okay, I was just making the point that there's no difference between their explanation and a flat Earth. No observable difference.
Their explanation flies in the face of what they're using to prove it's spinning. It has no relation on what we claim because we don't claim anything. There's no need to make a juxtaposition between flat Earth and their positive claim about their model of a spinning ball Earth. It just isn't necessary.
I think I know what he's trying to say. What he's trying to say is because they can't prove in any way, shape, or form the actual Coriolis, it actually proves flat Earth because there is none. That's what he's trying to say.
No, well, yeah, it proves we're not spinning. Flat Earth is unrelated. I keep saying it, but you don't want to have it. Their positive claim about their worldview, so it doesn't suddenly juxtapose between this and concave Earth, or this and dick Earth, or this and rectangular looping Earth. It's not a comparable thing to try and argue against with the juxtaposition of a model you hold. It's just a demolition of their claim we spin by pointing out that they're arguing for the result of it not spinning.
Not a flat Earth, a non-moving Earth, sorry.
Yeah, a stationary Earth, fine, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I get you. If that's, yeah, you're bad in terms of your phraseology, yeah. No, it absolutely proves we're stationary, yeah. That's the point.
But they're conceding we're stationary. They're saying it's the same observation, the observation between a spinning Earth and a stationary Earth is identical. That's what they're conceding.
Yeah, and in so doing, they're flying in the face of what's supposed to prove that it's spinning. The deviation is supposed to prove it's spinning, and they're justifying how there isn't deviation, but that's the same as it's spinning or being stationary, when they're supposed to be using the effect they're justifying not being there as a proof it's spinning. The deviation in Coriolis effect you observe from the non-inertial spinning reference frame is the proof it's spinning. The fact we don't observe it proves it's not spinning.
Well, or at least it's not proven that it's spinning. And the spinning hypothesis is much more complicated, and it would require precisely what you requested the other day, someone showing you on a roundabout this drone that leaves your hand but keeps on hovering over your hand.
Right. Like you say, but that, even though it doesn't prove a non-rotational stationary platform, it flies in the face of what they're trying to prove, which is what I'm saying in terms of you don't need to juxtapose it between that platform being stationary and that platform moving with something tracking along with it, because that's not possible. Now, if it is possible and they demonstrate it, all they're doing is proving there isn't a deviation, the very thing being utilised to prove that it spins. So they're not going to come along and say, look, here's a drone tracking above an X it's just taken off from on a roundabout. because that would prove there's no deviation on Earth, the thing that they're utilising to prove it spins. The moment they say it's not deviating because, you don't have to unpack the because, their justification's irrelevant. There's supposed to be deviation, and they're arguing for why there isn't. There isn't deviation because it isn't spinning. If there was, it would prove it was. That's why it's used that way, but it just doesn't show it in reality. Helicopters can hover. They wouldn't, they'd deviate if it spins underneath, precisely as is claimed to do so, as a proof of the spinning Earth.
Yeah, I agree. Can I just make a prediction? I think that they will, because reality is what it is, and precisely we see no deviation, no Coriolis, no Earth-based Coriolis. My prediction is that they will, they will probably stop, arguing about this Earth-based Coriolis, and probably stick more to this lockstep and try to find convoluted ways to explain this or show differences or whatever. That's my prediction. Thanks.
Well, that's the point. When they do that, they're even in more trouble because of all the documents that are already out there that they've already said it's the other. That's where we want him to go. We want him to do that. Just like yesterday, he was saying it's angular momentum. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Because for all these years, it was this.
Okay, can I just say one last thing? I mean, sorry, it's a bit irrelevant. Last time I called, I was talking about chemtrails. Sorry about that. Just an idea. Think about what would chemtrails show in a spinning Earth with Earth-based Coriolis. Just a thought.
You're talking about the streaks in the sky making straight lines.
Correct.
And then if the Earth is spinning underneath, what would it show if it was spinning or not spinning? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think Nathan showed the salt flats in Bolivia yesterday with the clouds that do the same thing, basically the reflection on the salt flats.
Mm-hmm.
There's no curve.
Yeah,
it's just a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. If you look at scenes of mountain topography next to a lake, the lake is copying the whole mountain on the lake. The lake is a mirror. It just copies it totally exactly.
Interesting.
But I agree with you that also will show that the Earth is not spinning and curved.
Well, or at least, there's this thing, atmosphere and atmosphere traveling separately from the plane. I definitely not that in any case.
Well, you don't need chemtrails for that. Just look up in the sky. I live in open country, and there's clouds going every which way.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to the channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join this discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man and Flatzoid in G+. Very good to have you.
Hello, good morning.
Good afternoon. Hello, hello. I think we've also got a couple of people in Discord as well, so a very warm welcome to all of you in Discord also.
Morning, Nathan.
Good morning. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not in California.
Not
No,
at
nothing in South Africa.
Discord, anybody? Earth curvature? Any signs thereof? No, just a few mumblings. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Proof we spin.
Absolutely no.
Plenty of justification for
No.
why we don't have their proof of spin though, eh? Very amusing how the fundies are fighting against Coriolis and telling us all about how we don't see deviation, which we absolutely must if it's proving Earth spins with that deviation that's apparent from the ground. If things leave a spinning reference frame of a ball Earth. On the other hand, if they don't show that deviation, as the fundies who come here typically fight about, then it's not demonstrating Earth is spinning. You're supposed to see Coriolis deviation to prove Earth spins, not fight about why you're not seeing it, because that's our point being proven, that it's not proving Earth spinning with this deviation, apparent or otherwise. No Coriolis effect, no spinning ball Earth. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity.
What's
What's
that?
gravity?
What's gravity?
Bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time giving rise to a non-force force that you can think of as a force but isn't actually a force called gravity. That's what it is.
Mhm.
And people use it at the not so easy level.
Say again, Flatzoid?
And people use it at the not is level.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. You don't. When you're talking about gravity, you don't have to actually operate in the actually is realm. You can just operate in the not actually is realm, and that's all good apparently, according to pseudoscience astrophysicists like George Musa.
When pressed for a clearer answer to that mathematical concept, they say, it's just magical.
Yeah, there's no scientific evidence of gravity. It's just magic made up by pseudoscientists when looking at twinkling lights and imagining the mathematics of conceptual mediums bending. Total nonsense. Not proof of anything. Certainly not scientific. Certainly not the world we live in.
Amen.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
How would they even know? The deepest they've ever gone is what, 8 miles? How would they even know?
Oh, they don't.
So only marshmallows over fire.
Any evidence of the
Yeah,
distance
so-
to the sun?
No, light, beautiful, beautiful light in the sky for us to enjoy. That's all.
I second that.
I'm waiting. There's got to be somebody repeating the nonsense that's being parroted by the YouTube high priests of heliocentrism doublespeak. Nobody's parroted it yet. One day, we shall see. Hopefully somebody will come in and embarrass themselves about the distance to the sun. We shall see. What about the presupposition itself, the R value, Earth radius presumed to be spherical?
Isn't it that the very thing we want them to prove rather than assume?
Yeah, that's why we asked for it. It's currently just a presupposition, them begging the question, but I'm asking for actual proof.
Well, the only
So there are down here.
the,
There
the
are been
only
on here.
the only thing that I've gathered from all these debate shows is they start off their sentences since the Earth is a sphere or at the equator. So they're still not proving it; they're presupposing it, like you just clearly said.
Yeah, at the equator, the thing that the sun's path has been derived from in the first place. The equator is derived from the path of the sun. They will then reverse that and use it to affirm the consequent and beg the question. Inserting an R value, presupposing massive distances, all that crap comes from the presupposition of an R value. They also force that R value onto Venus. Apparently our twin. No, twin just means they've presupposed it has the same assumed radius of Earth when deriving it from the sun's path, around what they say is the outside edge of a sphere they presuppose. Well, using that mathematics to confirm the distance to the sun is just proving you know how to beg the question, fundies.
How come they never say, with satellites, wouldn't they have measured all the curvature of Earth and all the planets and everything with all the satellites and probes and, all they've got are quote-unquote photos?
They do. We just
Where's
ask
the
them where the
measurement?
satellites are. Hey, Arwin. Hello.
Aloha.
Hola, Arwin. No sound from Arwin. Marvellous.
He's angry with me.
Is that right? Is this a protest silence because he hasn't dropped and rejoined? So maybe he hasn't got mic issues.
Because I saw on Skype, he asked, who's going to join your show today? And I don't think anybody answered.
See if he'll answer a housekeeping question. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container, Arwin? I think he might actually have mic issues. Open to anybody. Gas pressure without a container for all the fundamentalist zealots who believes that the sky is a vacuum called outer space?
Wow.
A necessary antecedent of a container?
Tectonic plates?
No.
Again, Earth-shaped investigator?
Tectonic plates.
Tectonic plates, right.
Tectonic
say-
plates.
Yeah, because they're directly related, aren't they?
Here we go.
That gas pressure.
That's great.
I think that's
Well,
it. Go on, sorry.
we would see it demonstrated here on Earth if gas pressure can be contained without a container, but we don't.
Yeah, we're not going to be seeing that anytime soon.
Hello.
Hey, Arwin.
Hey.
Hey. Just missed housekeeping. That was the end.
Ah, okay.
I did get to catch a bit of your show today, though. Very good it was, too.
You thought so?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Huh. Thanks.
Hey, Paul. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Just finished my plug, Paul. So shout out to Arwin on the Flat Earth Early Bird Show. Goes out on Arwin, which is ARWIJN, at 1 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time. I think it's like 5 a.m. Central Standard. Nevertheless,
Yeah.
the Early Bird Show has the name for a reason. Check it out. It is very good. I thoroughly enjoy Arwin's very laid back and sometimes controversial subjects that he covers. This morning he was covering the consumption of the Dutch with the Dutchie, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. What? The Dutch with the Dutchie? Sorry, I don't get it.
Forget it. don't worry about my code.
I mean,
my 80s lingo for marijuana.
Virgin.
That double D?
No, I don't think so. No.
That's
Oh,
not
I thought so.
discussing ladies, no. Pretty sure.
Well, that would be a new one for double D. And
I was just seeing if I missed anybody. Everyone seems to be off mute in the hangout, but no, Dave Dallas isn't there, as far as I can see.
all right. Well, there's a.
Who's got birds? Who's got birds in
got
the
a-
background?
Did anybody catch Sleeping Warrior on Roxanne the Globalist Denier's YouTube channel? Because several people.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was awesome.
That's what I keep being told, and I haven't had a chance to see. Can you tell us about it, please, Arwin?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you go to the video, I commented on it and basically marked the second that Tony first came in the picture. If you want to get there quickly, just look in the comment section for my comment. And yeah, it was quite long, and he was really in his moment. He was very confident, and he went up to some pretty inventive people that were really into math and all that, and into official explanations, but that weren't all too well studied into the actual flat earth debate and the arguments that we deal with. But they were still putting in a lot of effort, and Tony handled it pretty gloriously. And brought out all the arguments in the way he does best. It was good. It was very good and very long. Yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Can you tell us any more? Be a bit more specific about what was said and why it was epic?
Well, it was epic because these people really hadn't heard all that before, and still had reflexes to respond again. They were really holding on to the globe. I don't know. It was just fresh because of that. But otherwise, just all the usual arguments: relative density versus gravity, the Einsteinian gravity versus Newtonian, just the whole batch. Everything we talk about, pretty much, and that especially Tony talks about. Sorry if that's not specific enough.
No, that's good enough. To be honest, I was buying time to go and find Roxanne's link to. She's actually live right now, so I've stuck a link in the chat. Obviously, feel free to go and check her out, but if it's not very interesting, come back quickly, eh? No, but yeah, go and check out Roxanne's channel. It's not the actual video we've just discussed with Sleeping Warrior on, I think it's the one previous, but nevertheless, there is a link now in the live stream, so you can go and check out her channel and hopefully check out that video with Sleeping Warrior. Unfortunately, I've not checked it out as yet, but I definitely will. And big shout out to Sleeping Warrior and Roxanne the Globalist Denier.
Oh, yeah, I got it. I can post the link to the specific video if you like.
Yeah, stick it in Master B and I'll post it in the channel.
All right, I will.
Thanks.
Come on.
Hey, Paul, you there?
I am.
I gave you a shout out for your question yesterday when you pressed Zanuck on how high do you have to go in altitude. You want to go over that and your thinking behind it?
Well, I mean, it's obviously his thinking is, you maintain your momentum. Well, if the tangential speed changes as you raise in the atmosphere, tangential speed increases as you go up in the atmosphere, then literally the Earth would move out from under it. It's simple. So, or even he said it, you have to kind of accelerate to keep up with it. Even he said that. Nobody probably caught it, but he did say that.
Oh, yeah. He said you have to increase your speed to keep up with it. He agreed with it.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then there should be a apparent Coriolis effect when the helicopter's hovering, because it's raising in altitude, so it should immediately start to move out from under it.
You would think.
Anyway, I put out the link in the Master B chat, Nathan. Timestamps.
I'm literally just spanning it. I got the channel name wrong for that video. It's actually Jason of the Disbury family. So again, there's a link going behind the live chat. Same principle applies. Go and subscribe to Jason of the Disbury family and check out the video. It's called Globe Lie Euro Tour Liverpool Day 7, and that's the video that starts immediately with Sleeping Warrior, which is obviously a good cue to just start watching it straight away. Somebody obviously caught a really good conversation going on, just started live streaming immediately, so it's got a live chat with it and everything. So yeah, I will definitely check that out. Thanks, Arwin.
You can.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't know if you guys remember this. Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
This is the current wind currents that are supposedly going on right now. across the flat Earth, so to speak. And if you look, you can actually see the current hurricane right there by, I don't know if you're sharing my screen or not, but it's right by the east coast of the U.S. So you can see this is probably more than likely current. If you look at the southern hemisphere, though, the currents are kind of flowing in all different directions. So isn't the argument meaning that air currents would have to flow in a circular motion in the same direction on the southern hemisphere?
Well, yeah, they say that above should go counterclockwise and below should go clockwise, but as you can see here, that's wrong.
Yeah, because it's happening in both directions in the southern hemisphere. It's happening in all directions. Yeah, so to speak, so-called hemisphere. I'm only using it because that's the word we're used to using.
What exact height does this map correlate to, or is it an overall average in between a certain heights?
This is representative of hundreds of thousands of feet and impossible on a globe to see this view, but this is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of feet, like ludicrously high.
I mean, you can set that. I don't know if you see it, but there's actually a height. You can actually change it here. So you can change your height.
What was it now? What's the height telling us it is now?
I'm not sure. I think it might be the average, like he was saying. So let me see. Let me change it to 1,000 feet and see what happens. It might take a minute for it to reset. Well, 1,000 feet, it changed. Things accelerated. You know, see how the red changed when you go to 1,000 feet.
What?
And then let's see. Well, okay, let me go back.
Whoa, pretty heavy winds there.
I think maybe I missed it
up there.
You know what's interesting? Look at the size of that hurricane and the current pictures you see on the internet, how the hurricane is taking so much space on the so-called globe.
Now, they do have a globe view on this, so look, we can do that. Now watch. See.
Yeah, but the hurricane, what makes a hurricane is that it touches down. And these storms are obviously at a greater height, so that's not raging over the surface.
This is something Jeranism covered, right? They've removed the azimuthal equidistant projection from this software, if it's the software I'm thinking of. This got covered extensively by Jeranism, and there is still videos where they have the original projections on the list. So check out... I'll see if I can get it.
Nathan, you don't have to go there. Watch. I was already anticipating this conversation. You can go ahead and plug Jaren. But
well, yeah, I was just going to say, I'll just plug Jaren anyway. So go and check out Jeranism's channel. He's got at least 2 or 3 videos on this piece of software and over the years as well. So he's covered it from 2014 to present, this software. So yeah, well worth checking out Jeranism's channel to get an overview, an expansive overview of this particular topic. But go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Well, I kind of anticipated this conversation coming up. If you just go to the Wayback Machine, have you seen? Is that showing? I can't tell if it's showing.
Yeah.
You're all presented up. It's all good.
Okay. Well, I clicked the 2014 here, and you pick any date in 2014. Now, I was having a little trouble this morning getting it to work, so this obviously is not going to be current, but we'll show you past. So give me a second. Let me see if I can get it to load. It was having trouble this morning. I don't know if it was my internet or what. But you can actually see what it was in the past. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Now, if you click on Earth, look what's in here.
AE.
No way. So just as simple as going back to the Wayback Machine, eh? Cool.
Yep. And so yeah, you don't have to go back. I mean, now it's obviously not current weather patterns, but you get to see what 2014 looked like. Now, obviously, it's taken a minute to load. I was able to get the map to pull up, but for some reason, it's as you guys say, I'm an internet provider that can't get good internet.
But no, give it time. While you're doing that, I know Jaren watches this show. He's one of my patrons, so. If you're listening, Jaren, please make a video on this to keep your series going. And also because I suspect this won't work on the Wayback Machine after Paul's done this. So, yeah, if you're listening, man, get a video on this. Yeah, please. Anyway, enough plugging. Is it loaded? No.
No, it's not yet. Let me refresh it and try it again. I was having trouble with it.
I have a question. Well, I was looking at the full spread.
Here it is. Right. So we have an azimuthal equidistant projection of the weather flows. Excellent. Right, Paul, I'm not going to take your thunder. Go ahead.
Look at the speeds.
Hold on, Owen. Just let Paul get his presentation, and go ahead, Paul.
Well, no, I was just going to say, if you look at the weather pattern, hold on, I'm throwing some hash browns on real quick. The pan got heated up. Sorry. Timing is horrible.
Oh, wonderful. If this ends up being
Go
the
ahead,
bit that gets
Arwen.
trimmed out,
Arwen,
right?
take over.
No. Okay, can you hear me okay? I tried to drown it out. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm on
Okay.
mute.
I'm on
Okay.
mute.
No.
I'm on mute.
But if you look at the weather patterns off to the edge, like around where so-called Antarctic is, it's really high wind speeds. But even in this model, it looks like, or not, well, obviously it's a model per se, but the winds seem to move in a counterclockwise position in the southern hemisphere, and more of a clockwise position. So that would almost count for the spins, in general. If that makes sense. I mean, I've not looked at this in depth, and I'm just kind of observing and looking at it, but I could be wrong, and you guys can question me all day long on it.
I want to see something else. I want to see this type of projection, but now orientated around the supposed Antarctica. I want to see the weather patterns over there and see if they are in that setting, if they seem more logical in their
Don't you think
speeds.
there is a
Yes.
southern azimuthal equidistant projection on the list, though, is there?
Because look at the bottom of this one, of the rectangular version, the real version.
I thought there was one. Hang on a
Whoa!
second.
I don't remember there ever being a southern projection on this list. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
I think they added it. That's what I'm thinking.
Whoa,
That's what
that
I'm
was a
looking.
fractal map projection.
I don't think you're going
Whoa.
to find it, Paul.
Okay. Well, actually, I think I did it with this. If you grab it.
Can you
Oh,
just
you can
rotate
turn
it?
Oh, here we go. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yes, there we go. That's what you want. That's...
Oh,
Oh, wow. Okay, so there you go. That's precisely what you wanted, Darwin. Let's just see it load the weather patterns. There you go.
That's in the now. That obviously you have to use the past one to do that.
Huh?
You can't use the current one.
Can you zoom in a little?
Yeah, but I can't. Yeah, I can try. If I try to move it, it'll
Yeah, that's fine.
reorient it.
Further,
It'll
further,
reorient it.
further. Yeah, like that.
We've just
Ooh.
got Antarctica now. Well, a bit of South America.
Looking at these weather patterns, that seems kind of odd that all these circulations would be so close to one another. This doesn't make any logical sense either. Where is all, when the wind is streaming, that is due to a difference in temperature. So what extreme temperature difference is causing all these spirals compacted upon such a tight region? Doesn't make any logical sense to me.
Arwen, let me throw something at you. Maybe you've done research on this. When it's a low pressure versus a high pressure system, they say in the high pressure system, it turns one way, whereas a low pressure makes it turn the way the hurricanes turn counterclockwise. Have you read anything on that?
Does this have any relevance with what I just said?
Before you get into
That's
this,
what I'm
sorry
asking.
to be 10th man, before you get into this, Paul, any chance you can pop it back on the azimuthal equidistant projection from the North Pole, on account
Yes.
of the fact that that projection looks the most right. Now, I don't care what anyone says in terms of what that means. It doesn't have much meaning, but it just does, and I just want it to be on screen if that's possible.
Yeah, and zoom it in roughly as much.
That'll do.
Yeah.
But if you can fiddle with it as we're talking, just so like we do get a zoomed out view, I just want it to be dedicated to the recording as
Wow.
well. So if you can,
Look how
fiddle-
mild that is compared.
Like
See?
I say, leave it on for maybe 60 seconds at a time, and then maybe change the view zoom out a little bit. Sorry to be fussy, but I suspect we might not get another opportunity. If it disappears from the Wayback Machine, which things do, then this will be it. This is the current recording of this projection, which has been talked about at length but vanished, and only the 2014-2015 discussions about it by Jaren remain on Jaren's channel, as opposed to this, which we're doing this live.
Neither sides make any logical sense to me. I think that the most sensible looking projection was the rectangular projection, but I might be a little bit biased.
Well, let me make an observation here. This is what my observation. I was doing. Well, this is a cursory understanding, really, at my one level when I was looking at this morning. But if I go back over here, and the argument from the ballers is that the hurricanes don't cross the equator, right? Well, if you look kind of north of the equator, I think the 23rd parallel runs right through Mexico, if I remember right. And then you got the whatever the one is right below that. If you look at where the position of the sun would be, it literally would cut across right through kind of the bottom of Mexico, the top of South America, right in through Africa, roughly where the sun would be. And if you notice on this line, the weather patterns seem to kind of go to a null or like a null pocket almost, or like the winds kind of semi died down, and it kind of cuts almost across the entire entire plane. If it makes any sense. Which that could account, maybe the sun's position could be the one what's accounting for not the hurricanes not crossing the equator. If that makes any sense. Not necessarily the so-called spin. Obviously, I'm spitballing and I have no proof, but that would make logical sense.
No, but that's what you could observe. You could go out and your logical extrapolation isn't based on anything beyond what you'd actually observe going on. So it's reasonable, yes.
Well, we already know it's not spinning, so that can't be it.
I'm just looking at this rectangular projection, and it by far makes the most sense to me, except for maybe right at the at the edges, north and south. There, it seems to be a little bit.
Well, and if you look, just to give an example, you see the hurricane over towards the U.S. right now, but there's another storm brewing right here, kind of off the coast of Africa. It may not be as intense, but it's starting to form, which it may give it a name here soon, who knows. But if you look right enough towards Spain, the air currents kind of come down and then swoop back up. I mean, that would almost kind of give a counterclocks rotation on this hurricane just from that weather pattern kind of swooping down and coming up. I mean, it's kind of like putting a bicycle or putting a bicycle tire on a roundabout. You got the bicycle tire or the motorcycle. You've seen those videos where the motorcycle spins the roundabout. It's just almost the same kind of thing. So that could be causing the spin, not the so-called Coriolis effect or Coriolis force, is what we've been told.
Can you pop it? Well, that's not actual force. So can you pop it back on the AE projection again, just once more?
Hello.
Hi, Ranty. And then if you can just pop it zoomed back out, just so we've got the entirety of it, that'd be brilliant.
I just want to say something. I hate this show really badly because I wasn't going to do a show tonight, and now I've got to do one, seeing as this has just been brought up.
Good one, Ranty. So much for your break.
Shows. Did you? I know I suggested this initially, but I just didn't actually get around to doing it, which was starting a little group to make sure we get like a proper coherent schedule together. Do you still want to do that? I noticed.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm happy to go live at 11.
Okay. In that case, I'll reschedule then. So if I know it's typically been 10 o'clock for the Uncut and After show, but if I change it to 9, then we won't be stepping on each other's toes, and I can start shouting you out. So this show will now go out this will be about an hour and 10 minutes before Ranty Flat Earth Roundtable, presumably. Is it Roundtable?
Yeah, Roundtable, chit chat, whichever I'm going to host on the day.
Perfect. Well, from now on, I'll start shouting you out because this is going to be beneficial to both of us. Obviously, you can't shout me out, but you can. You talk about the show anyway, so it makes no odds. But Ranty Flat Earth Roundtable will be in 1 hour and 7 minutes on Ranty Flat Earth YouTube channel. So be here or be sphere in an hour and 10 there or thereabouts over on Ranty Flat Earth channel. I'll start publishing this show at 9. Try and keep it to 2 hours. If it floods on to 4 more hours, then I'm sorry.
No problem. But just want to say this is excellent research. Whatever's what's being showed right now is just absolutely excellent.
Yeah, kudos, Paul.
Yeah, just fantastic.
Thank you. Well, and also a quick plug for the Wayback Machine. There's been all the research I've done. If I see a document that's been removed from the internet, a website or whatever, the Wayback Machine has helped me find those documents very easily. So, kudos, Wayback Machine.
That's not a plug for time dilation, is it?
No.
Yeah, I really do hope Jaron gets on the case with it because, like I say, this has been. I only know about this because of him, and certainly I would assume that's the case with you too, Paul.
Yeah, that's kind of where I started it from Jaronism and stuff. His research. So yeah, it started there.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't get enough shout outs really on this show, considering how important he is in this subject.
Yeah, I've been wanting to really. I wish I could see the current air patterns now. That would really, be fun to see how the, with the current hurricane and all that stuff to see. But we obviously can't. So
Hey,
makes you wonder why they take that off, right? Why'd they take that off?
Well, he's been in touch with them from memory. That's something he's been chasing them up about. So as I say, it's worth tuning into Jaron to get the skinny on this, and hopefully he'll do an update video if he's watching. We'll see.
Paul, stay right where you're at. I'm going to look up 2014 hurricane, and then we'll pick the date and see if we can pick up that hurricane that happened in 2014.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I can change it. I could just have to click on the dates and change it.
(2014) hurricane names.
We're all slightly stunned to silence about this, the ones who are appreciating the significance of this. And have appreciated it, like I say, as a result of Jaronism's exposure from the start, probably back in 2014, maybe 2015, thereabouts, either way. So it's just interesting, I'm not in any way endorsing this as a flat Earth map. It isn't. It's a global projection from the centre out. That's it. That's how it works. It's still the same rules of azimuthal equidistant projections from whatever point you take them from. In this case, the North Pole. But what is interesting is how it all lines up on this particular projection. It's just fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Look at it. It just seems so perfect.
Now, here's a question for the ballers. Here's a question. Talk about conspiracies. Why would it be this projection would be on this website for many years, then all of a sudden vanish because somebody on YouTube like Jaron decided to have a conversation about it? Then within, do you remember, Nathan, if it was weeks or months, or that it just disappeared off this website?
I can't remember. That it's too far back to remember precisely how long. But if I was to have a wild guess, it may be 6 months to a year later after it was started to be talked about. It just got removed, and then, like I say, from there on in, Jaron explained how he was getting in touch with them and asking them why has this been removed? To no avail.
Yeah, exactly. So my question is, why would they do that? Why? I mean, just why? Why? Answer why. They get on to us, why would they ask us, why would they lie? You answer me, why would they take this off?
Well, again, we can only speculate, which is kind of insane to divine the thoughts of the programmer who's made this piece of software and his reasonings for removing it. Maybe he was getting a lot of contact from flat earthers and just didn't like it and thought, I'll just do away with that by removing the projection they're asking me about, and that'll do away with that problem, as opposed to getting exposure from more channels like us and then follow-up programs from Jaron and more discussion about it and questions about why it's been removed. Sometimes people's censorship of something can have the reverse effect. I'm sure it's called the Barbara Streisand effect.
I got a date, July 4th, 2014. Arthur is the name. North Carolina.
Yeah, with the Wayback Machine, it's random. You can have months without them having a snippet of it. So it's only the highlighted dates that you can actually bring back up. So you might only have half a dozen or so over its entire history to look through.
All we need, though, isn't it? You just need enough to show that it was there and isn't now, and what was there and what it showed is perfectly sufficient. Yeah, it's not up-to-date data. That's what we're arguing about and saying, why isn't it up-to-date data anymore? It's presumably just a tick of a box in programming terms to make it be there again.
July 4th is in gray, it looks like. So you can go 3rd or 5th and see what we see. I also have a hurricane for 2016 and 2017 if they haven't taken it off.
Good morning.
Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning.
Yo, Choco.
You.
Breaker,
Hey,
Chocolate, Airwolf.
Good morning, guys.
I've not been paying attention to Discord. If you've just joined, hopefully I've just taken you off mute. Hey, Babs. Hey, Brian.
Oh my god, I've been dying to talk this whole time.
Sorry. I was so engrossed with this. I just, you know, and you're just like smiling from ear to ear going, this is so cool. You forget everything that's going on around you. So sorry.
It's all good. Is it okay if we switch topics a little bit?
Yeah, I think we've exhausted this, cool though it is. Unless you've got anything to round out.
I just want to propose an
just
example.
Before you do, sorry, Babs, just before you do, did you want to round out with anything, Paul? If not, thank you very much for presenting that.
No, I was just trying to pull up that one to look at the hurricane that was occurring, but it doesn't show up for some reason on this one, so who knows why. But that's it. I'm all good. New topic.
Good job, Paul. Good job, Paul.
I'll leave it on though if it's all good by you, Paul. Just might as well. No harm in it, right?
Yep, I'll leave it running. I won't mess with it.
Cool. Sorry, Babs. Go ahead. My apologies.
It's Hurricane Dorian.
All right, thanks, Nathan. And yeah, thanks, Paul. That was awesome too. Really awesome information. So yeah, I want to propose an example to you guys about something I was thinking about and talking about with Kosho last night. Okay, so Newton's first law states that every object will remain at rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change its state by an action of an external force. And the second law explains how the velocity of an object changes when it's subjected to an external force. The law defines a force to be equal to change in momentum, mass times velocity, for change in time. So the third one states that every action force in nature, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. In other words, if object A exerts a force on object B, then object B also exerts a force on object A. So the reason I'm stating these laws is because I was thinking about them with this example that I'm about to propose to you guys. So picture this. You're on a bus, and this bus is moving at 60 miles per hour. And on that bus, you have a drone that you're holding in your hands. You turn this drone on and you make it hover. So a couple of things are going on here. You and the drone are both moving at 60 miles per hour. But when you make that drone hover, it's no longer on the moving platform. However, it's still moving at 60 miles per hour because it's maintaining the velocity according to Newton's laws, because everything that's in motion is going to remain in motion unless an external force acts upon it.
I see.
So this drone starts to hover. Can you say something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask a very quick question for clarity about the example. Is this an open top bus or a closed container?
This is a closed bus, not a convertible bus, no.
Not an open top tour bus. So we've only got one reference frame.
No, I don't think
Yeah,
that
that's
was
right.
about
We only
Coriolis.
got one.
So what you're saying is this example would be an example of something not giving you any deviation, not demonstrating Coriolis effect as is required by a ball earth that uses Coriolis to prove its spinning. This is an example of not deviating? Is that what this example is?
It's not an example of not deviating. It's a question that I was going to ask about what's going to happen when we start trying to fly that drone in different directions. But hang on a sec. Isn't Earth a closed system?
No.
Because you're saying that...
No, it's not.
It's not.
No, it's claimed to be an open system next to a vacuum without any container.
How do we have gas pressure in an open system?
That would be our question for the fundies who assert they're in an open system next to a vacuum. You can't have gas pressure without a container.
No, that didn't work. I didn't realize that this ties into Coriolis. So how does an open system affect things that are in flight?
You tell me.
How does that happen?
I'll ask you. So let's use your example. But in this case, it is an open top bus. And you launch your helicopter and it leaves the inertial reference frame, non-inertial reference frame of the bus and enters the air above the bus. Now, does it fly along with the bus, or does it appear to curve away from you, staying hovering above the ground where the bus was, as you see it disappearing behind the bus as you drive away from it? Because that's the deviation that should be there on a globe Earth.
I say that the drone hovers, but hang on a sec. Since the drone is hovering, it has an external force acting upon it. So isn't that going to negate the momentum of the moving bus?
Tell me, let's see you risk your drone on an open top bus by making it hover and see if it carries along with the bus.
Oh, that's just not going to work.
No, but in not working, as you put it, that would be the deviation. That's Coriolis effect, if you like. It's seeming to curve away from the bus. So you've just pushed the up stick on the drone. All it's done is gone up. But what's actually happened from your vantage point is it's curved out of the bus. Now, to a guy who happened to be standing next to the bus as it passed him on the street, when you pushed the up stick, what he observed was the drone just going up and the bus carrying along from under it. It just went up for him. But for you, there was an apparent curving away from you. Now, that apparent curving away from you wasn't the drone curving, you only pushed the up stick. It was the bus moving away underneath. Now, that effect is what they claim proves Earth spins. You curving away underneath something that leaves the spinning reference frame. So this example you're asking us about is to explain how they don't have deviation. They're asking you, Kosho, in this example, why is it that the drone can fly in any direction and isn't deviating? My answer, who cares? You're supposed to be demonstrating a deviation that proves Earth spins. So asking us why things don't deviate is irrelevant when there's supposed to be deviation proving Earth is spinning. So something leaves the non-inertial reference frame of the ball Earth spinning, claimed to be spinning, and like the drone that just goes up and the bus moving underneath, Earth is claimed to carry on moving underneath something that leaves it, proving that it spins by way of you seeing an apparent deviation, it apparently curving away from you. So on the Earth, same as on this bus, you push the up stick on your drone and you seem to see it curving away from you because Earth's rotating underneath it. That seeming to curve away is what they claim proves Earth spinning. The problem is you push a drone's up stick and it just goes up and you don't see any deviation, the thing that they're claiming proves Earth spinning, but yet they're asking you about justifying why there's no deviation when deviation is the thing they're trying to use to prove it's spinning. So why would we argue about why it's not deviating on this bus example when Coriolis deviation is precisely what they're using to prove their point that it's spinning? If they're saying no deviation, then no Earth spinning, Babs.
Yeah, I get it. I want to backpedal on one of the points that I stated earlier. I don't know what would happen on that convertible bus when that drone is hovering.
I do.
You do? Okay. I'm just going to say that because I've not actually performed that experiment to see if it's going to happen, to see what's going to happen.
No worries. Well, the example was exemplified yesterday by 10th Man with a flatbed truck that went over a bump. So you sat in the back of the flatbed truck, the truck hits a bump, you fly in the air. Now, are you going to gamble that you then take a curved trajectory forward to keep following the trajectory of the truck, as opposed to you bouncing up in the air and then the truck carrying on from underneath you? Because that's what does happen. If you're on a roundabout with a drone and you put a little bit of tape on the roundabout, an X, and sit your drone on it, and then you spin the roundabout and push the up stick, the drone goes up and it doesn't stay above the X. The X moves underneath. That X moving underneath is the apparent deviation because it's only the X moving, not the helicopter. It's only supposed to be Earth moving, not the drone. But you can't get the drone to track above the X when it's moved off the roundabout. It's not attached to the roundabout anymore, so the roundabout just continues to spin underneath. In the same way as on a flatbed bus, or a flatbed truck or bus, you launch the helicopter, and as soon as it goes into the air, it's not attached to the bus or the flatbed. So it just goes up, and the bus carries on going from underneath it, because it's not attached.
Okay, but how can all this take place in a closed system? Because if we have gas pressure, we're in a closed system.
That's
just
right,
like in that bus, we're still within a closed system.
Yeah, that's right. The fact that there's air pressure around the bus, slightly a tangent point, but yes, the fact that we have the gas pressure in the first place debunks any notion that you could have the scenario that flies in the face of Coriolis demonstrating Earth to be spinning by asserting that they're travelling as one when that could only take place in a closed system. And Earth is claimed to be a sphere in a vacuum without any containment between the gas pressure, violating the second law of thermodynamics. So not only is this argument that air and atmosphere and the Earth travel as one is debunking the claim that the things that leave the spinning frame will deviate, proving it's spinning, because they're arguing for things travelling as one. But also, it's not possible unless they seal up Earth with a giant dome around it. Well, they don't have that beyond the movie Spaceballs.
No, they don't. But
and if they did, all it would do is fly in the face of the claim that they're using to prove it's spinning. Oh, right, they travel as one because somehow we have the Earth and atmosphere contained in an open system, travelling together. But that doesn't prove it's spinning anymore. That defies their proof of spin, which is Coriolis deviation. If they're saying no deviation travelling as one, there's no proof of it spinning then.
No, there isn't. No. Unless they can prove that the Earth is spinning at a different speed than everything that's not in the non-inertial reference frame. If they can prove that, then perhaps they could argue that it is turning. But if everything is moving at the same speed, then no.
Well, they'd have to demonstrate that deviation. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson's asserting when that football gets kicked. I used to say thrown, I actually don't follow American football clearly. But when it's kicked for a field goal, and apparently Earth rotates underneath the ball, moving the goalposts just enough to let the goal go through, well then that's the claim that is supposed to be in effect. The deviation, the ball seeming to curve because it's left the spinning ball Earth. That's what they're supposed to be fighting for. They're not supposed... The fundies, this is, the globehead fundies that we deal with. They're not supposed to be fighting for there not being a deviation, which is precisely what they do. Kosho's asking you to justify why the helicopter doesn't deviate on a closed bus. Well, why? Because he's supposed to be fighting for there being a deviation to prove it's spinning, not asking you to justify why there isn't.
Exactly, yeah.
Ask Kosho why his own citation says that the Earth is supposed to spin beneath the object.
Yeah.
Why is it his own citation says it's supposed to move freely? Pull it out, because I've posted it. It was posted yesterday in Discord and all that. So just ask him, why does your citation go against what you're saying? It's as simple as that.
That citation doesn't mention anything about tangential velocity or the atmosphere moving as one with Earth. It doesn't mention anything like that.
No, because it wouldn't give you Coriolis if it did. That's what they're arguing. They've given us a citation that backs precisely what needs to be there to prove Earth spins, a deviation called Coriolis effect, an apparent effect of things curving away from you because you rotate underneath. That's the effect that's claimed to prove Earth spins. What we argue with global fundamentalist religious zealots is about why it's not deviating. Well, it's supposed to deviate. And all they're doing with buses that travel closed with drones in them is talk about how it's not deviating, how it's not proving it's spinning. And, this is the problem. Some of them are senile, and maybe that's the problem. It's from the top down. People respect these idiots and think they're correct when they assert these things, when in reality they're leading them down a terrible path if they are actually of the globe religion and want to stay there. You know, don't follow senile old bastards like George when he explains that Earth and atmosphere travel as one when talking about Coriolis effect, because he's fighting against the actual claim that globe makes. The globe claims you see an apparent deviation because Earth's rotating underneath, giving you a Coriolis effect. Not Earth and atmosphere travel as one not giving you a Coriolis effect. That'll never be in a citation. George is incorrect, Kosho's incorrect, Zanuck's incorrect, Rumpus is incorrect. At a fundamental level, they don't understand Coriolis. We do. The deviation that's supposed to be in effect when the Earth spins underneath the helicopter is the claim to be spinning Earth proof. But we don't observe it. By definition, helicopters hovering aren't deviating. Now, according to Zanuck, in argument yesterday, he explains, when very carefully cornered by Paul, that as you get higher, you've got to go faster, because you're going to have to account for the speed of the Earth rotating underneath you increasing. And then when asked, well, how fast is an Earth that spins travelling underneath that hovering helicopter to give you the deviation of Coriolis effect that must be there to prove it spins? Answer, it's not spinning under the helicopter. From Zanuck, from George, from Rumpus, from Kosho, from these people who apparently are fighting for the effect of Coriolis deviation proving Earth spins, whilst telling us why it's not deviating.
Yeah, so far all we've seen from them is just explanations for why it's not happening. So it's like all they're coming up with is with ideas. And are these their own ideas? Or do they have citations to go with them that are going to show congruency with what they're talking about? Because if they're just coming up with their own ideas, then we need something to back that up. We can't just take what they're saying at face value.
No, they back it up with citations that agree with us that there should be a deviation proving the Earth spins. But Kosho provided us with that citation upon arguing precisely what you have asked us about, how things don't deviate, drones on closed buses. Well, that's not Coriolis effect, the effect that's claimed to prove Earth spins. We don't see that effect, and that's what they're arguing about it. How we can't see the effect, why we don't see the effect, when the very effect is what's supposed to prove it spins.
I have heard some ballers say that they have charts from like artillery shells being fired that do show some deviation. I personally haven't looked at these charts myself.
No, they don't. They do, but I already dealt with the field manuals. How many times I got to talk about these field manuals? All right.
What's the deal with those field manuals?
Hello? Yeah, we hear you.
We hear you, kid.
Yeah, what's the deal with the field manuals? I gotta say this again.
Right. How about a practical example?
I'm not gonna say it again. Hey, Nathan, before we close out, can I get a shameless plug?
Yeah, of course you can.
I didn't want to interrupt the discussion, but the field manuals was just too much.
Only,
and this close.
Only if you explain the field manuals. It'll take you 2 minutes. Go on.
Only if I explain the field manual. So this is conditional.
Yeah, I'm a bastard.
All right, folks. Like I said, I was in the military for 21 years. I opened the field manual twice. Once for the E5 board, once for the E6 board. All right. The combat MOSs do not use field manuals. You can have Jimmy Hoffa's burial place in bold and underlined in chartreuse pink, and his burial place will still be safe. So you can take those field manuals and shove them where the sun doesn't shine.
And with that, I'll say a huge message.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm only joking. No, go ahead. You plug yourself. With your feedback.
Yeah,
with your feed.
All right. Shameless plug, number 22. On the QE channel today, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. US, it'll be materialism. It's Cathexis and I going over that topic. And Ball Busters, Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. US Central. Trainwreck Globetard arguments exposed. Be there, be here, or be spare. Thanks.
On the Quantum Eraser channel. So be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel for Cathexis and Quantum Eraser tonight, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Central Standard, and that's Quantum Eraser channel, be here or be sphere, and also Ball Busters on the nonsense rhetoric of Globers being taken to shreds on Saturday. Quantum Eraser channel, be here or be sphere, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Central Standard. And with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this live show possible. If you are watching on Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Probably just a premiere.
That's a great show.
Still there, QE? You've got a little bit of feedback.
And I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it seems to come and go, so we'll figure it out.
I'm getting another mic tomorrow, man.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll wait till that happens then, because there's no point fiddling. It's not actually doing it anymore, so. Yes.
I fiddled with it a little bit, trying to get back to the settings that you told me, and I thought it was good to go. I got my system set up. I think I understand it now, but I said that before, so don't.
It's all good. It's a bit of a learning curve. Anthony went through the same thing when he first got Voice Meter, and he had a little bit of feedback, and then after about 14 months, it got sorted. So
Yeah. Hey, is it just us?
No, everyone else is here. Got a whole bunch of people in Discord. Got Ranty on the Skype call, Flatzoid, Chocolate Saying, Arwin, 10th Man, Paul.
I didn't move those guys, but because
So,
you got
John.
a second, right?
Good, because there's going to be another live show.
Hi, John.
Hey guys, what's up? I want to get back to this closed system deal again. If you have a few minutes.
Yeah, man. Great.
Yeah, even how can I say this? Maybe the first point is, remember, you can have closed systems within open systems and open systems within closed systems. It just depends on where you define the boundary conditions. Okay? Now, we know that the Earth is a closed system. It has to, because it has gas pressure. But the Coriolis argument, even if the Earth was spinning in a closed system, it wouldn't change. Because it depends on the distance of the boundary conditions. For example, I'm in my room right now. It's a closed system. And I have a fan going. The air that's spinning with the fan, all the air in my room is not spinning around in a tornado. You follow me with that, guys?
Right. Yeah, I follow you.
Yep, wind currents.
Don't let them try to get you down this closed and open system game with the Coriolis effect. All right? Make sure you think about these things. Don't just spout off and go to your favorite closed system, open system argument. You got to understand these fundamental principles and what they mean. And once you do that, it's very easy to tear apart these arguments. You can do it in your sleep. But you have to put the time in to understand these concepts. Okay? Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, I want to respond to Babs. Is he there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Go ahead, 10th Man.
Repeat what you said about the long-range artillery quote, please, one more time.
Wanted to know what was going on with those field manuals. Why do they show deviation?
Okay, so if you do any kind of research on long range firing, whether it's sniper or artillery, they tell you what to take into account. And one is wind, right? So just like a golfer, if I break it down, if the wind is blowing, he has to compensate for the wind. If there's no wind, he can go right at the pin. It's the same thing. It's not Coriolis, it's wind.
So, right. So what you're saying is it's the wind that's making those shells deviate from target.
Yeah, just like a golf ball in the wind or a golf ball with no wind. Same thing. Yeah, and if you hit a ball with
Wind's
spin,
moving in several different.
what's that?
Wind's moving in several different directions. It's not just
Yes.
moving in one direction.
Well, yes, exactly. So here, I'll just read a little quote here from a sniper feed or whatever here on the internet. Me, I try to judge the wind from me to the target and everything in between. If I saw some heavy grass action at 300 yards, I would take a click off wind off my 500 millimeter wind call. But if I saw the same thing at 100 meter, I wouldn't worry about it. I have a friend who was a ranger who was I have a friend who was a ranger who was a sniper. He shoots on my gun range here. No Coriolis.
Okay. But if it's a wind that's doing that, then it wouldn't be in one direction. It would be in several different directions.
Rangers lead the way.
That's why they look.
Rangers lead the way.
Okay.
Rangers lead the way.
So let me finish this up. It's real simple. I work with a professional golfer. It's the same thing. We look at the tops of the trees. If they're not moving, we can go right at the pin. If they're moving, we see which direction they're moving. And we have to compensate for those wind movements from either direction. The artillery and the snipers do the same thing. It's part. They have a whole what do you call it, chart on this at distances. They've already figured this out. That's why you see in movies the guy next to the sniper saying the wind is this is what it's doing.
His watcher.
Yeah, his watcher. Is in a sense his navigator, right? So that way he can just fire away. Plus they got suppressors so it doesn't make noise. And so the bullet's not always going supersonic, right? So they have to encounter all these things and all the different winds, and they tell you what it is. But the globers say, oh, it's the earth spinning. No, it's wind.
I believe what you're saying. I personally haven't looked at the manuals myself to verify that. But yeah, I believe what you're saying 100%. The wind is going to do something to those bullets.
What you have
manuals,
to understand.
like I said before, the manuals are Mox Nix, man. They're Mox Nix. Do I gotta say it again?
Yes, please.
I'm not. Yes, please. Okay, I'm gonna say this one more time. I spent 21 years in the military, most of that in recon. So it was combat arms, right? I fired expert with every single weapon that the Army had in their inventory at the time I was there. I opened the field manual and FM twice the entire time. Once for the E5 promotion board, once for the E6 promotion board. That's sergeant and staff sergeant. Because you have to go in front of a board and they're going to pound questions at you, and they take them out of those field manuals. However, for practicality, that is when we were training constantly, we never opened up those field manuals. Never. I opened those field manuals, like I said, twice in my military career. Once prior to each of those promotion boards. Let me tell you another little story.
Just before you do.
I was
just before you do. So you're saying you never open the field manuals to see the claimed Coriolis correction that you would make, and therefore start accounting for it. And upon actually firing weapons, there was no account for the claimed to be deviation in the field manual. That's the point.
The point is, why would I even go to the field manual? Because the Coriolis effect wasn't ever brought up.
Exactly.
Why would I go there looking for something that no one's ever talked about before?
Precisely. With that, I'm going to do a quick plug to Ranty Flat Earth, whose Ranty's Roundtable on Ranty Flat Earth channel will be starting ever so shortly. So I'm going to hopefully start this show so that it ends at around 11 p.m. UK time, which is when Ranty's show will be starting just after this one finishes. So check out Ranty Flat Earth channel. Be here or be sphere. Another massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this after show possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of you in the premiering stream audience for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!